I didn't grow up with like, that's the devil. I grew up with, that's stupid.
All right, sound speeds.
Here we are. Welcome to Backsliders.
Amen.
That's exactly
Backsliders,
it.
amen.
We're here with our friend Julia Nunes.
Me, your friend.
Yes, you are a friend.
Hi,
We've
guys.
been friends for
Like longer than we think.
4 years.
Potentially longer.
Way longer than we think.
Yeah. 5
That's
years
so weird
maybe.
because that's like a whole schooling plus
A whole
year.
college experience. We're seniors together.
We're seniors of LA.
Yeah.
We're fifth year seniors, maybe.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna
Stuck
do when
around
we get
too
out?
long. I thought that the other day. I was like, I've been in LA for 7 years. That's too long.
Oh,
go-
wow, I
and-
thought you were here longer than that. We met you early on your journey.
LA
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
You seemed very, very like in the groove when we met you.
Really?
Yeah.
We were like eating healthy.
Oh,
like,
wow.
We met you
Yeah.
in yoga.
I met you at a
True.
mansion. This is so true, actually.
Yes.
A Hollywood mansion.
A Hollywood mansion.
That like loans out their backyard for a yoga class.
with like a full sound bath, laser light show.
Laser light show, which seems like counterintuitive to a comfortable environment, but they're not like shining into your eyes.
Sometimes they would shine into my eyes. Did they ever shine into your eyes?
I would pull my headband down.
Well, the point of the class was that you were supposed to keep your eyes closed for most of the time. So it was actually, it was
like a
like
point.
really just like a keep them
Yeah.
closed.
You better be going inside.
Stay in your body.
Don't look at these laser beams.
Yeah, it was a real spectacle. And it would always finish with the what's the thing?
We're gonna think of it, but at some point,
What's it
I want to
called?
say I'm going to say
Zafu.
Ouija board, but it's not Ouija. It's
We're both wrong. What's it
and
called?
you're breathing and you're like,
Zaboomafoo.
wait, do you guys know it was Claude?
a didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo.
There we go. Thank you, Claude.
Can count on you.
God for you.
Yeah, making us not look crazy because we're just making sounds.
And he would come and blow it in your face.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good.
It was like you lay down after the yoga class, exhausted, totally in your body and in your breath, and then this man walks next to your head and goes, "Oh,"
Doing circular breathing, never stopping.
And you feel like you're in outer space.
yeah,
That's why it's called galactic.
yeah.
Yeah, Yoga Galactica.
Yoga Galactica. I just remembered that we'd like to tell people about them in hopes that people will go, and I made a little bit of fun of it, but they know that I love them.
When? Just now?
Yeah.
Oh
No,
no,
I don't
they
feel
know.
like we
The best thing about it is that it is like they know it's a weird experience.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
intentional.
Yeah.
It's true.
But it's like weird in the best way because they're like, hey, we're just people. These are things that have helped us. We're orchestrating that for you. Hopefully have a good time and blast off.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's normal and weird. It's like, normalizing weird.
It's the most LA normal, like it's stereotypically LA, like in a way
Right.
that people think they're making fun of LA, maybe exaggerating, but
Right. Like, of course you went to LA and went to Yoga Galactica.
yeah. And Kamala talks in like the most like yoga teacher, like breathe and let the sun fill your body and blast love from your heart out.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and it's like totally genuine.
Yeah.
And it's actually like if you let yourself, you can feel that way.
Yeah.
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 I remember being like kind of freaked out when I first went because I guess a part of me, like, even though I'm like, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not a girl who like goes to church and is afraid of the devil anymore. But I guess I still kind of was because some of the exercises and then being in the what do they call it? The space shift. There's just like Buddha statues and like the colors. I'm like, I was told that this is some devil shit.
Right.
Am I
This is supposed to
doing-
have power over me. That's going to hurt me.
This is supposed to like, this is scary. I was told this is scary. It's totally not. It's just like an experience with your body. Like you're moving your body and you're breathing and you're connecting to it.
Yeah, and that can come across like from where we're coming from as like, oh God, they're in, what's the word, where you're possessed. They're possessed
wow.
and their bodies are manifesting crazy
Wow.
movements.
But don't some of y'all's religion do like speaking in tongues and being like
exactly
possessed by the spirit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they call it possessed.
Right.
By
They
the
wouldn't
spirit.
call it possessed.
They would call it maybe.
What do they call it?
They're slain in the spirit, but not where I came from. But that's a part of Christianity.
The Holy
Some
Spirit
Christian
comes
practices.
down. What is the word?
What is word?
Filled.
Filled
Claude's
with the
got
Holy
all
Spirit.
the words today.
Filled with,
the Holy Spirit.
We gotta mic you
Yeah.
up, buddy. Yeah. So, which we talked about in one of our earlier episodes, because I remember feeling pressured to speak in tongues,
Yeah.
and I did it because I was
Oh.
like, "Oh, you really
faked it?
Yeah.
You Salem witch trialed it.
Yeah.
Well, is that what happened in Salem witch trial? She spoke in tongues.
Well, yeah, like the little girls would like speak in tongues, and like basically all of the little girls were like, I want to fit in. I want to be possessed too, and like
Right.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then they made everyone,
Get on board.
well, they made everyone like find a bad reason for why they were like being young children influenced by one another to the point where they could go hysterical. Like, we can all go hysterical. We
Right.
can. It's actually not very hard. And when everyone else around you is doing it, it's much easier.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, we're copiers for some
Yeah.
reason.
You go to a Tony Robbins retreat and all of a sudden you're going, yes, 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 yes.
Have you been?
No, I've just seen videos and I get it.
We've been.
We went.
You've been.
We've
We
been.
fucking did that.
I bet it fucking ruled.
There was nothing cooler. There's 10,000 people in an arena. To watch 10,000 people do something as ridiculous as running in place, like side to side. They're like, and
Yeah.
then turn.
If that's what I'm saying, if you let yourself, because so I didn't grow up with like, that's the devil. I grew up with that's stupid.
Oh, okay.
What's
Don't-
stupid? Just everything?
Basically, yes.
Was this like kind of like atheistic roots?
Atheistic and hyper intellectualized religion. So like my mom studied religions and it was all like, this is just text. And like also Santa is just like, it's just moral lessons that you can choose to take on or not, but like only you know what's a good person. And like, yeah, my mom rocked it, I think. And then she would find herself, well, I guess I won't put words in her mouth, but like there
Do
seemed
it.
to be.
She's not here. You speak on her behalf.
Oh, my mom is so up on my internet shit. She will watch this.
Hi, Julia's
Well, then she can
mom.
comment. We'll get another comment.
She has a Google alert on my name. Sometimes she'll text me like, "Did you see this a cappella group singing your song?" and I'll be
that's
like,
great.
"Thanks, mom."
Yeah.
Okay,
Number one
but
fan.
yeah, I
I'm going
feel
to have to tell them to take that down.
copyright infringement, you college assholes. No, my mom's opinion in high school, how I remember it, and I could be wrong, but she thought that, especially like the Mormon boy that I had fallen in love with,
Whoa.
was dumb. That it was all dumb, and that
She took it out on him. Like,
she took it out on me. I didn't get to go watch movies with him and hold hands like we wanted to all the time.
that's funny. I thought she would
Wow.
like go the other way and she'd be like, "Fuck that Mormon boy."
No, she kind of like had this attitude of like shaking her head at all of it. She was just like, "What are these fools?"
Did she think he was going to influence? Were you kind of being influenced by this?
No, I was never influenced by absolutely any of it.
Was he bothered by that, or was he like, "You're kind of my like rum spring season of life"?
Our relationship didn't get far enough. My attention was taken by a 26-year-old man that I dated when I was 18. And yeah, he took all of my attention away. Like that boy and I had like kind of a falling out, and there's a very sad ending to the story, which is that he passed away while we were not on speaking terms. I
Yeah.
do cry about it at times.
That's hard.
It's not your fault,
Thank you.
and you did show him love at one point.
At one point,
Yeah.
I did.
That's all you can do.
Thank you, everyone. It's not, yeah, it's actually like a real thing that I think about sometimes.
Sure.
My little heart still has like some Dave break in it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Death is
Powerful.
powerful and sad. Like,
Yeah.
and grief doesn't It's different for everyone, but I feel like when you have known someone, no matter for how long or like deeply, if you had a connection with them and you know that they're no longer here, it's just hard.
Yes. Yes.
But you're talking about your mom, who I know, so she was very smart.
She's so smart. It's crazy.
But did she also do tarot cards with you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So she is comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she keeps it with a healthy dose of like, you know, it's just, and the same way I read them for you when we first met.
I love
Don't say that live. I'm just kidding.
We've gotten our tarot cards read.
Y'all.
And they've been different multiple times.
But always relevant.
Like creepily relevant. That's the thing is like my mom would flip the cards and she'll be like, all right, like I'll tell you what I see, but like I don't, you know, I can't tell you if this resonates for you or not. And every single time she tells me what it means and I'm like, well, that fucks me up with how relevant that is. And she's like, I know.
It's kind of crazy. But I think that can also be like some people's experiences with religion, like someone praying for you, and sometimes they're like,
I know you're going through a hard time right now.
Yeah, which maybe isn't as specific as what the cards can be, but you know, I think we're always looking for signs.
Yeah,
that
we're
are
trying
relevant.
to give meaning to some things that are happening in our lives.
Yeah, even more than like prayer itself, like I think attention and intention are some of like the most, you know, we don't have like control over this like life, but we have attention and intention. And so when you put your attention on your friend and you're like, I mean, my intention here is to like show you love, like that person is brighter and more like held through this like pretty rocky experience of life because of like you and your heart. Like there's something actually magical about that. And you could call it prayer, or you could call it meditation, or you could just call it like being loving.
Love. Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, like you take a little prop in front of you and you are loving with like your cards in front of you. But like when I think about that night where I read your tarot, we had literally met that night.
So crazy.
At a yoga class.
Yeah.
And it's like, I actually feel like sometimes, you know, it would be like kind of creepy if I was just like, I like you as a new friend. I'd like to put my attention on you.
And tell you I believe in your future.
I'd like to show you my heart now.
Yeah.
Want to come over and I'll show you my heart?
Want to look at it?
But it shouldn't be so weird and uncomfortable. Like that should be the norm, right? That's also what's
nice.
like, well, that's what I mean is like making the weird normal. Is like, that's kind of what the yoga class we went to was like, where it's like, oh, this is kind of weird, but it's everything that I need in the sense of like, yes, I need to show my body attention and move it in these ways that I was afraid to move my entire life. Like a lot of the exercises and movements that I've learned through yoga are things that I was afraid to do, or I just never learned. I was never even introduced to them. The only thing I had was like PE class having to like do some stretching that you do haphazardly because you're like, stretching's not for strong guys. You know what I mean? Like I need to lift more weights, not stretch. And it like caught up to me, you know, I threw out my back 3 times, and yoga, the practice of yoga and setting the intentions and focusing on my body and my own personal healing journey changed all of that.
Yeah, that's attention and intention on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, that's self-love. Like that's actual self-love.
Yeah.
Like being with yourself, being with your body.
But just saying that, like that's attention on yourself. Like I still have to like be okay with that in my thinking, because it like triggers this idea of like, oh, it's selfish, you know? And like, it's a constant thing that we have to like get over and remind like, no, it's okay. It's okay to be selfish if it's healthy.
Yeah, I think I
hurting
remember
others.
a specific conversation with you about that probably after yoga or one of the other crazy things that we have done with that community. But Micah and I were indoctrinated or conditioned to believe that thinking of yourself first is selfish, and we should think of Christ or God first or others first. So it's always like there's a very negative connotation with the word selfish. And I think it was through doing yoga and like starting to really be intentional about caring for myself and like, what do I need to be healthy, to deal with my anxiety, to care for my body and my mind, and learn how to appreciate this vessel that I have and care for it as much as I can, that I was like, selfish is not a bad thing, because if you care for yourself first, you're able to better love people.
Yeah. No, I think Kamala said that the first time that I heard it, actually, in a way that I was like, oh, wow. She's like, you know, you being your best self is going to allow you to be the best for everybody around you. Like if a mother isn't taking care of herself, she can't give her best self to her kids. She might confuse herself into like just giving to her kids, but she's going to run out at some point.
Yeah. I've heard
like
that.
We all are going to run out.
Yeah. Like it's a finite game. Like when you're giving from a place where you're not actually like filling up as well, there it's finite. Like you can play that game for as long as you have like the self-will to force it to happen. But someday, and the worst part of it is that like someday it'll end in like a crazy way. But along the way, you will have just like resentfully existed in other people's lives. Like what you actually want to do is this thing we're talking about of like showing love to the people around you. Like that's actually what has a person feel like brighter and better. And like when you're giving resentfully, you're being like unselfish or whatever, you get like, even if you don't have the best, like, I'm going to try and not be resentful. Like you just do, you're a human being and you need to be filled up in order to like not, and it feels terrible to have someone giving to you resentfully. It just like, it doesn't actually serve anybody when you give from a resentful place.
Yeah.
Because you can get angry too. You're just like, don't you know how much I'm giving?
Yeah, and a lot of times there's like conditions on what they're giving. They're like, I'm giving this to you, so you're going to do something for me, or you're going to thank me and like make me feel better because you know I sacrificed so much to do this for you.
Expectations.
But I want to go back to your mom. So your mom taught you, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, like you're your own greatest teacher. Like religion, you know, here's the history of it. A bunch of people have different theories and beliefs and like base their lives on these systems. We don't do that. But were you surrounded, like your peers, were most of them religious?
I had a lot of religious peers, but I also, like I existed in like, my crew was like the comedy group at school, and like religion like never came up.
And you're in, where are you? Upper New York?
Upstate New York, yeah.
Okay.
Rochester.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's like pretty Christian. I mean, I lived near a block that had like 9 churches on it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Standard American experience.
Yeah.
I guess I'm asking specifically because someone commented this week and they were like, I've been an atheist my whole life. It would be awesome if you talked to someone who, I don't know if you identify as atheist and you don't, but someone who wasn't raised religious and maybe like just how that experience,
which is like code word for you don't believe that like Jesus Christ had to die for you to.
Oh yeah, I don't think too much about Jesus Christ, but I do like new turn of events. I don't even know that we've talked about. Like I didn't really think too much about God until the last couple of years, and now I find it it's like kind of an AA perspective of like I'm not actually in control of my life. I'm actually not, and I when I look at times where things didn't go the way I tried to control them to go, it actually went better in the long run. And it just took this amount of time for me to see that trajectory being like overall good. But if I had had my way, it would have gone very, very different. And so like I can call that higher self and I can call that like the universe, but like I just got comfortable with the word God.
Yeah.
I like it now.
Yeah.
Well, God can be such a heavy word because it's been defined by so many people and so many religions. So if you don't identify with that definition, it can have such a negative connotation.
Probably in the American experience, it's like related to Christianity usually.
And that the God of American Christianity, I have some problems with, like the fine print. Like, why are you judging?
It's the same God, though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Somebody's putting words in its mouth.
I don't want to believe in a God that's judgmental and sending people to hell for.
Oh yeah, that's not how I do God.
Yeah,
it's his kingdom, not yours.
Okay, my God.
I dated a Christian family guy. Like one of my biggest relationships was a guy that was, his family was super religious. And he liked church growing up, but we never talked about religion in our relationship. But when
get in the way of the sex.
Yeah, we didn't. We had the sex. We did the sex thing before marriage. Yeah, and actually, that's related. Is like sometimes we would go to his family events, like his niece's communion. It's like something that happened when she was 14.
Okay,
was it communion or confirmation?
Confirmation, probably. Were they Catholic? I guess. I think Catholics do.
Probably Catholicism. Yeah. Let us know in the comments.
Yes.
A cardinal came to her
a bird
confirmation, the big red one.
Yeah.
The not a bird. And that cardinal, it was a big church, and this was like a big deal, I guess. Like we had to dress up, and I went and I was sitting there, and this cardinal was like, if a man and a woman live together before they're married, it's a sin. If they blah 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 blah. And he said, like, how many of you, to all of the 14-year-olds, how many of you want to go to heaven? And they all raised their hands. And he was like, well, did you know that you have to be a saint to go to heaven? And they were all like, what? Oh my God. And he was like, hold on. Do you know what it requires to be a saint? And they were all like, and he was like, you cannot sin. And everyone was like, and he was like, here's what sins are. And he starts talking about like, don't live with a man and a woman together. Like, no, of course, no sex. Of course, all of these things. And he was like, and you have to try because you want to get into heaven. That's how serious this is.
And what were you feeling?
I mean, my upbringing of like, this is dumb and I can't believe that I'm here and I'm gonna kill this man that I'm dating with my rage later because he should know better than to take me here because I'm gonna freak out, which I did at the dinner. I mean, that's just an example of giving from a place where I did not feel full.
Yeah.
I resentfully went to that confirmation. And at the dinner later, when his grandmother was like, you know, my God, because his like much more religious older brother, I'm talking a lot. I hope that's okay.
This is why you're here.
This is a podcast.
His older brother was much more religious, like went to church every week. That brother and his girlfriend were living together, definitely sleeping together, but like, but felt like super tight Christians.
Mm-hmm. Because it's about how they look. Other than the living together doesn't look right. You know,
but like that was their thing, is like they were like super, super good Christians, and they of course live together and have sex and are in love, and you need
a prayer
married.
Partner.
Yeah, they were in the choir together, the church choir, and they you know, they're at this dinner too, and their 14-year-old cousin is like, "Are you guys going to hell?" And they were like, "No, of course." And the grandma is like, "I don't believe that God works that way." And blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there seething, and I was like, "Then why do you call yourself a Christian? Why do you subscribe to this book specifically? If that guy rules your religion, that's one of the rulers of your religion, and he tells you how it works, and you can't just say that it doesn't work that way, then you're not a Christian." And
you went off.
Yeah, I truly can't believe we dated for like many years after that. I don't know how that played well for him with his family, but
so are you still dating that
witch?
Sinner?
She's a witch. They also had problems with my boobs being out a lot of the time. Her
boobs are all over the place.
Yeah. Christians are very uncomfortable with the female body.
They would talk to him about talking to me about my boobs being visible. And I was always just like, I'm not
because you were going to
playing
make
this
him
game.
fall.
It was.
How old were you?
Don't you know he's a baby and he's thirsty?
I was. Oh gosh, that's weird. And I was 20 through 25 is when I dated that man.
Yeah, that must be such a weird experience to like be outside of it.
Yeah,
but to be observing a family that's very much in it, and how everyone like. I think it's so interesting how many people will continue to go to a church with leaders that are more extreme or fundamentalist than they are, but then come home and be like, well, we don't take it that far, but we're still Christians and we still believe Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and we have to say this prayer. But
I'm my church light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone picks and chooses.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say about that is like, it makes perfect sense. I mean, that's your community. Like humans, there's almost nothing more important to a human than their community and fitting in with it. And while it is like so awesome that I grew up with like kind of a sense of independence, I find myself like, I'm not jealous. I now see how it's all perfect, having led me to here where I feel like I have community and friendship and like reliable love from the people around me. I see how that's perfect, but like there was this period of time in the last couple of years where I was like, man, I need community. I don't have it. And I'm jealous of how religion has it built in. And valuing it, like I'm so clear on the value, like how deeply seated it is in a person to want not just friends, but like that deep, that like we would band together if something bad happened.
These people care for me. They wonder where I was.
Like your tribe.
Yeah.
They called me if they didn't hear from me in a week.
Yeah.
And they shamed me if I didn't show up next week.
I'm not actually jealous of it for all of those reasons. Like,
I think that those reasons may happen like in
anywhere.
Dungeons and Dragons group, maybe even stronger. I don't know.
Wow, you're very right about that. Actually.
Where were you?
Where were you?
But I will say that like one of the things that I enjoy about Yoga Galactica and spaces like that where it's just like a community of people getting together to like work on themselves is I feel like there's no pressure to wear a mask or appear to be perfect. Like people can show up and be like, yeah, I had a super shitty day and I really need this. Whereas in the religious communities and churches that I went to, it felt like always this pressure to be perfect, to appear good, like you have it together. And even if you did share some vulnerable stuff with people, it was almost like they were afraid to say me too, or like I have doubts as well. And it was always like, let me regurgitate this biblical reference or like say I'll pray for you. Yeah.
Like I don't have permission to exist and grow and evolve. I have to just be quiet about who I am and reference the manual of how I'm supposed to be.
Right.
Well, that sounds not good.
Yeah. It's a denial of yourself. But this is like a tenet of denying yourself is kind of preached. You know, you have to deny yourself in order to live up to God's standards.
Right. Something of the flesh. Is that a thing?
Yeah. Deny the flesh.
Deny the flesh. Yeah. That's the opposite of my current spiritual beliefs.
Yeah.
What are your current spiritual?
I mean, no, like I'm just thinking of like the difference between spirit and flesh. Like spirit isn't flesh and flesh isn't spirit, you know, like our spirit lives on when we die. I imagine you might believe that. Or we hope to.
I can get on board with it. I have no idea, but I can get on board with it.
But a lot of people claim it out there.
Some people think they really know.
There's like a 6-year-old boy out there who says he went to heaven and came back.
It's real, yeah.
And people are basing their lives on that experience.
But like, of course, we dream about what we're talked to about. Or, you know, like our dreams are reflections of what we're taking in. The boy was in a Christian family.
Yeah, no, totally.
That's true. Yeah, of course. Children are not responsible at all for anything, really. It's just their environment shaping them.
Yeah, they're sponges.
The little sponges.
So I'm curious about your upbringing in the sense of like, Did it feel like your parents were just like, hey, we love you and accept you however you are? Or
Unless you came home with a staunch religious belief.
Kind of. I mean, that's pretty close. If I was making a mockery of it, then yes. It's like my parents really loved and accepted me like basically all the way through, and it was not without like trials and tribulations, but like fundamentally who I am, my parents like really supported.
Yeah, that's
even
great.
when that deeply did not fit into like the norm of like look at me now. I'm a musician. I run retreats.
I didn't even know you ran retreats.
Yeah, I just ran my first one. I'm planning my next one for April. It's like a new
For females only?
It's for it's like open, and like we had a gender non-conforming person at our last retreat, and if someone who identified as a man was to come, we would have to like put some more pieces together. But we care more about like the vibe of the human being than we do about any of that. We just like conveniently.
It's like a human empowerment kind of retreat.
It's like
get to know yourself retreat.
It's like a get to know yourself as you relate to other people, actually, because like getting to know yourself alone, sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I'm this person, and then like a person walks up and you're like, bah! I just acted a way that I did not mean to.
Yeah.
Like, who am I around other humans? Like, what comes up for me? What stops me from connecting to them?
Yeah.
So
I wonder why I'm so like introverted in new places. I've always been that way. But if I know somebody, I'm like, or I'm in a performance setting, like I'm more myself.
Yeah, right.
But if I'm new to an environment, like I'm like this super shy, quiet guy who's like, nobody wants to hear from you. Don't, you know,
you like censor yourself.
Like I'll never crack a joke. Even if I have it, I'll just like save it for myself.
Oh my God. What a shame.
I know.
Everyone's missing out.
I agree, but I don't know how to change it necessarily.
Exactly.
Well, I need to go to your retreat.
Come to my retreat. Follow me on Instagram. I feel like the human interaction shit is like the fruit of life. And that's why I talk about the community stuff with religion. It's like I now have it from a source that isn't like indoctrinating me to like avoid matters of the flesh. So I like it better this way. But like humans, we need each other. We like need
we do.
And to walk through the world feeling as though the world is hospitable. Like
yes.
I think that's part of it. Like I've been into like certain acting classes or comedy programs or whatever, certain circles of people, and I always feel like I'm waiting to be mistreated or something, you know?
Yeah,
I'm just like
relate to
keeping everybody at bay. Yeah.
Well, you're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's because I can relate a lot to not being able to fully be myself around new people. And I've been talking about this in therapy, and I think it's just a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It's like I've learned to keep my guard up because I've been hurt by the people who are supposed to protect me.
Right.
Therefore, I need to be able to gauge whether or not I can trust this person and be myself with them. But if I live my whole life like that, I'm doing a disservice to the world and to others, because I deserve to express and be myself no matter the situation or who I'm talking to.
I think it also requires you to like orientate yourself to the idea that you're not in competition, even though maybe some other people in the room might think you're in competition. You know what I mean? Like there are people trying to establish dominance and competition.
Not in Hollywood.
No,
Nobody's
not
like
here.
that
I've never
here.
seen that.
Yeah,
I don't know
no.
what you're talking about.
But I think you have to live in those environments regardless and just be like not in competition with you. And so I'm not going to change who I am and be kind of thrown off as my best self. Because I think I clam up when I feel like I gotta prove myself here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is true. Like one of the things we like teach on the retreat is like all hurt and all healing happens in connection. So everything that's ever hurt you happened with another person. And everything that's ever going to heal you must happen with another person. Like there's no book you can read to start feeling brave in a room. But
I just had to have a brave experience with another human being and then be like, that didn't hurt like that time when I was 4.
Yeah. And that's how, like, when a friend like really loves you, or a significant other like really, really loves you, you walk through the world like a little more confident, because you now have like an experiential, like, I have love. Like someone that I likes me and supports me, someone I support. Like you get this thing that fills you up and breaks down some of the hurts. And like what we try to do on the retreat is give people experiences that would have them be like, I survived being vulnerable about something that happened to me. Yeah. I finally got to talk about this thing that's bothering me without anybody trying to correct my way of thinking, and without anybody trying to fix what's wrong with me, without feeling patronized, without feeling like it, we all get hurt in big ways. We also get hurt in small ways all the time.
Micro hurts. I think that's why we're doing this podcast. That you like, I feel like you kind of made a thesis for the show.
Yes.
And we would like to go to the retreat.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just like a space where you can speak your truth, wherever that may be. We don't have a stake in where you are now, where you're going. We just want to hear it so that we can hear it and know that we're not alone in this evolving headspace journey.
Yeah, I will say, to bring it back to how the three of us started hanging out, I was in like one of the deepest downs of my entire life. There was no fixing it. And you guys had like really beautiful boundaries around like, well, we can't, like, I mean, we can't like fix you, but like, would you like to do apartment yoga this week? I would be like,
that's so like, I wouldn't know that somebody would describe us as having good boundaries.
Yeah. Well, because we talked about living together too. And I remember you being like, well, Julia, like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's a great idea. Like what we have works. And I was like, well, it does. And you guys would invite me for dinner, and you would invite me for rock climbing, and
we entertained living together. I mean, I think we just realized like, this might. I think it's just always tricky when you live with people. Sometimes you're like, I don't want what we have to change.
Yeah. You value the friendship.
It's a level of intimacy that like could go very wrong.
Yeah. And that would be a tragedy.
Yeah. And that's why, like, okay, so at the retreat there was
I think we just we're saving you because we're very difficult people to live with.
I've seen your sketches. If there's any truth to that, I would feel clamored up by the level of volume sometimes.
Oh yeah. I feel bad for our duplex neighbors.
Oh, we had fun with them on New Year's Eve. Chase and I recorded music at your house, which you know, but they don't. And the neighbors, we were loud.
Did they notice?
Yes.
They say something?
They said, please be quieter. And we said, okay.
Really?
To be fair,
but they're very quiet too.
Oh wait, so you were playing like music on the radio?
We were recording music and like playing back what we were recording and like bumping it and being like, we rule.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so wild. They usually never say anything. We all were hitting it hard.
We were hitting it hard. And when he knocked on the door, he said that they were both home super sick. So that was probably more irritating than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
I'm surprised they didn't tell us. He was like, your house guests, they fucking suck.
Well, I bet that they would rather not have the conflict, which is exactly like living together. You have to have conversations about
you have to communicate.
We have a lot of friction.
Yeah. It's good. And like either you can ignore it for as long as you can, but that is a finite game. It'll be bad someday.
I think there are best practices for like managing it, we definitely get it out on the table, but I think that we're getting better at how we put it on the table,
Between the two of you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
And also just...
Before it was just like,
Eruption.
Throw
Get
that
it
on the
all out,
table.
and then like a hurricane.
It was a
goes
food
through.
fight as opposed to being like, hey, you see this dessert?
You guys would food fight though,
It
for real.
sucks.
Yeah.
I can imagine
If we didn't have
you
to
guys
clean
as a
it up.
couple.
Yeah, if we had like a maid, for sure.
Oh my gosh, I just got a business idea. A restaurant where you can have a food fight.
Yeah.
And they'll clean up
Whoa.
after you.
It's like medieval times.
Do people go there to eat though, or is it just
So it's like,
for
that's what I'm saying.
food?
It's like a dinner experience, like medieval times.
Yeah.
But so you have like a good meal, and then they just bring bowls of mashed potatoes and
Yeah.
and
Reminds
things
me of
that are
that
great
scene
for
in
food
Hook.
fights.
And like I what I want to happen to me is for someone to throw mashed potatoes at my open mouth.
Yeah, and you're like, get it all over
This
there.
would totally work. You know how like there's all these like get out of jail maze
Escape
things?
rooms.
Escape rooms.
Yes.
Wait, can you describe it again? What's the name?
Get out of jail game rooms. And like these experiential theater things going on. We
Yeah.
should just rent one of these spaces, line it in plastic, hire a caterer, and then just offer, it's just
I
called
would
food
sign
fight
up to
night.
that.
I've got it. We
fight
combine
night?
everything. We have a food fight night. We film it for a music video for me
Oh
at
my
the
God.
YouTube space for our next thing.
Yeah.
You guys are a part of this.
You're experiencing magic in the making.
And can it be very colorful, like the Hook thing? Like, can all the
Please.
food be just fantastic colors?
Yes, please.
Just a
Wait,
little food
like an
coloring.
OK Go video or something?
I just want to say for anyone who's here from my music, from knowing me, that these are the two directors of the music video that I put out earlier this year called Used to Want, and
Used
we
to
filmed
Want.
it.
I've heard that song thousands of
Yes,
times.
we know it very well.
It's on everyone's top plays on Spotify
That was
because
so
Nice.
fun.
of that project.
What a fun
Really?
time.
Oh, yes.
That's
I like
amazing.
that you attribute us all the success.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was only possible because of you guys, and it's easily one of like the most like expressive things I've ever done. And then behind the camera we have our wardrobe, and behind the scenes,
Yes, they brought it
Claude
in
and
the
Angie.
last minute, the clutch outfits.
clutch outfits. Right, yeah, that but maybe if we bought them, you know what I mean? Like we take them home
we
with
could
us.
purchase them.
We'll purchase them because you guys did like lend us those things. I did end up buying the pants.
What,
though.
retro
I bet you
candy.
did.
Yeah.
But that was a really awesome project to be a part of because we met you when you were in the thick of what that album was
my
about.
gosh. Yeah.
And then to be able to be a part of your cathartic expression
4 years later.
album release
Yeah, you guys really
was so special to us.
yeah, you know what every single word of that song is about.
Oh, yeah.
And
We feel it.
you were like with me in the healing process. And then I was just like pirouetting around a soundstage,
Nailing it.
nailing it, absolutely
Slow-mo.
nailing it.
What a gift it is, though, to be artists and to be able to like take the pain and the shit and then to make something of it. And then like now you have this song, this album and the song and this video that you can watch with joy and
Yeah.
gratitude from a place that like used to make you like
That's beautiful.
not be
Yeah,
able
you
to
turn something
move.
painful into something beautiful.
Well, and that's like my best example probably of the whole, like why I'm a little, like why I'm getting comfortable with the idea of God. Cause I'm like, I wanted to get back together with that person so bad. And it's absolutely not the right thing for either of us.
right. So how great is it when sometimes we don't get what we want and how beautiful releasing that control can be.
Yeah. And there's
Some of God's
something,
greatest gifts are unanswered prayers.
That wasn't perfect, but it was
Dang.
fine. What was that, Garth Brooks?
I don't know if it was
Sometimes I thank God.
or George Strait or one
Yeah,
of the
George
big,
Strait.
big ones.
we switch roles. I filmed the music video for this. How about that? I would like that.
Hey, we're
Let's
down.
do it. Yeah, we got to learn how to play
I'll
an
pick camera.
instrument.
Yeah. Can you teach
What'd you
us?
do? You just you'll click?
Click,
You just
click, click. Click, click, click.
Micah's accents on full display.
Oh, yeah, I'm back.
Where were we?
We were talking a lot about like community and like how difficult it is to like be as close with someone as you need to be to live with someone, like to have those confrontational conversations and like and present the dessert instead of the food fight.
Yeah.
And I think I'm learning a lot of that, like how to present your feelings in a way that is like actually like true to you and like takes care of the person in front of you as well. And that's one of the things that like I now live with 6 people, and it's like a every day, like it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Are y'all good at because you've lived with a number of people for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And is this kind of the first time you've lived with that many people?
I was living with 8 people last year, and I just moved in. Now it's 6 of us. And before that, I mean, like dorms, I guess, but it's not the same at all.
Right.
And we would have like house meetings. It was like half dedicated to our feelings, and everyone's on board with that. Like we're all like, okay, like we know that none of this, like the trash does not matter if there's something unsaid about like, did your feelings get hurt? Is there a truth you haven't said? And so everyone's like really,
if you're neglecting your chore, there's maybe something behind it.
that's actually like maybe a little true.
Yeah.
You know, there's something to all of it. Like,
do you feel like you're taking on too much?
Yeah.
Compared to what I'm taking on.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have house meetings.
Yeah, we should. Keely, I've been trying to have house meetings for 7 years.
Oh, really? You have?
Yes.
I've just missed them.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need a mediator in all.
Do you
of
do
this.
it every day?
No,
Every day that would be exhausting.
No, but we
Like
schedule some pretty regular house meetings, and I will say that I like have long conversations with each of my roommates, like more than once a week.
Yeah.
You know, about like what's going on in my life too. Not like something's up with us. It's like I like let people in on like what's up with me in a way that I never have, not with my family growing up, not with like you know. So it is.
And it just feels healthier than not sharing it. You know, I mean, I think that's why people go to therapy. It's like, not to say that your roommates are your therapists, but maybe people go to therapy because they're not even expressing themselves in their day-to-day lives.
When I was going to, like, my first experiences with therapy were like, I've never said this to anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that is like, I don't have that experience anymore. Like I've said most everything to a lot of my inner circle. And
was the reason you didn't share it with anybody until that therapist because you were like afraid of somebody like not loving you or thinking less of you?
That, and like I didn't see the worth in it. Like, what's the point? Like, why would I bother someone with this?
You didn't know like the release that it would offer.
I had never experienced it because like, right, like the ways that we get hurt growing up, it's like you say your truth and someone else gets hurt by your truth, and then it all spirals into like something where you end up apologizing for something that you like. It gets very confusing. And I think therapy and the relationship that I was in at the time were my first experiences of like, oh, we could have like a big conversation that feels like I'm saying shit that I've never said before, and I could feel better. So in lots of ways, like those first 2, which I mean, you know, that was my first experience with it, but it ended up that like by the end of my relationship, my therapist thought my partner was the problem, and my partner thought my therapist was toxic. And so
toxic therapist.
Yeah. And those were the 2 people that I had told my truth to. So I was just like, come on.
Yeah.
That felt good for 1 second.
Not to get too deep into it, but were you like taking what your therapist told you and like throwing it at your partner?
No. I did let them in on it one time. And that's when
then that person's stupid.
My partner was like, your therapist should not be saying shit like that to you. That's like outside of like what therapists should say. And like, my therapist had actually cried and held me and been like, because I, you know, and like, not to take zero responsibility, like I now see the way that when I was in that relationship, I was pinning everything on whether or not my partner was okay, pinning everything on whether or not we were good. And I had a deep belief that I needed to change myself in order to be good for the person I was dating. And my therapist was like, no. And they would point out ways that my partner supported that belief. So there was this time where my therapist was like holding my knees, being like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. And crying. And then I cried. And then, like I went home to my partner, and my partner like did one of the things that my therapist had just pointed out about how like they support the idea that there's something wrong with me that needs to change. So, and then I was like, you know what? Like, my therapist is saying like that says there's something wrong with me. And then my partner was like, your therapist shouldn't be talking to you that way.
She's really undermining my my thing here.
My thing. Oh God. It was such a mess. And you
were just more or less realizing, like, I think regardless if we end up together, we've got to become healthy individuals. And it doesn't appear like we're handling ourselves as healthy individuals to be able to be a healthy unit.
My belief at the time was just that I was not. Like, I held them on like a huge, you saw me, like I held them on like a pedestal that was like, they do no wrong. And I am not a good enough person to be with them at the level of like emotional intelligence and the level of like care that they put on things. I was like, I'm not good enough at those things yet. And I mess up all the time and I disappoint them. And then it's like frustrating to constantly feel like you're letting someone down. I was just like, this doesn't work because something's wrong with me. Mm-hmm. So I gotta go.
Had you felt like that before? Like, had that feeling like you're not good enough played out in your life beforehand in any significant relationship? Or was this like a kind of a brand new feeling or situation?
Oh boy. I think I probably had plenty of experiences like that as a kid. Mm-hmm. But I think that like life shows you every angle of it. So, right, like there were experiences I had where I was like, I'm better than this person. An experience that I had that I was like, I'm worse than this person. And so, how that needed to even out, like the relationship I had before it, I really made it that I was better than him. And the next relationship, I really made it that I was less than. And so, like finding a balance of like, I'm not perfect and I'm not going to go on a shame spiral if I do something that doesn't work, or if I do hurt somebody, I'm not going to go on a shame spiral. I'm going to own it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like oh God, I'm so happy that my self-worth doesn't rest on like one person's opinion of how I'm doing it anymore. And I have more of like a 360 view from a lot of different mirrors. It's not just one therapist and one partner. It's like I have a coach and I have group therapy, and I have like close friends who like know what is going on in my life, and they tell me the truth about.
Got a bandmate.
I got a bandmate.
Got housemates.
And I don't have a lot of like fixing around me. I don't have a lot of people that are like, well, that seems bad. Let me see if I can fix you with my advice.
Yeah.
They're more of like oh, well, I love you. What do you think when I say this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good iteration of life right now.
For sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm happy for you.
Ooh.
I love you.
I love you too.
No, but I can relate with that kind of that journey of, well, definitely kind of what you felt in that last relationship about kind of being caught in a spiral of not feeling good enough. And the reason I asked about it, like if you kind of knew where that came from, because that's something I've been working through in therapy, and I can kind of like trace back to when that belief started and how it's played out in different ways, and how in some scenarios when I was growing up, I was like the bully because I was like overcompensating for this belief that I had buried, which was that I wasn't good enough because I had learned that. And I think it's really beautiful that you're doing the work and like becoming aware of your shit and yourself, and you're able to grow and own and love yourself and blossom and surround yourself with people and communities that support you in becoming whole and healthy. Yeah.
It's so good.
And I'm happy we met you in yoga.
Is this the end of the podcast? It
I don't know.
feels like the end.
It
feels
does
like
feel.
the
How long
end.
have we? I guess it could be the end. Do we have any final? I guess, can I ask you another question?
Yes.
What do you believe?
just sum it up.
Just like if there's like one thing, not that you even have to have one thing, but is there something that you believe to be true about what's going on here in life?
Okay, yeah.
And you have to be right.
Yes. Well, and let me say before I talk about what I believe it's I'm correct. I know I'm correct. And if you don't agree, then it's
Problematic.
then I'm judging you. And I'd like you to feel dumb. I'd like to say this in such a way that you doubt yourself and don't feel good.
I want you to be
After I speak.
condescended by my offerings of advice.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm all in. I'm in this cult.
Yeah. If you could just blindly follow everything that I say, that would be good.
Okay.
Okay. So one thing I believe is that that when you're not operating from love, things tend to go to shit.
Check.
And I also believe that it is like so difficult to operate from love, and and that like if you're not operating from love, like I have nothing but empathy for you, because like of course.
Yeah.
And I believe that like relationships, connection, and like people are where the actual like riches of life are, and basically everything else is empty calories.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Empty calories.
I really like everything you just said. Wow, you're pretty wise.
Well,
So
I have done yoga before, so that's where all my wisdom comes from. No, I really feel like I went all the way down the rabbit hole of other ways of going about it. Like I really was a bully. I really was like a victim.
Oh yeah.
And like forgive them their trespasses as we would forget to trespass against us or something like that.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
It's like forgive as you want people to forgive you.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like I forgive people like 1,000 times a day, you know, like when someone does something crazy in traffic and I want to be like, you almost killed a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, well,
they didn't.
Yeah, I forgive you, and not because you should be forgiven, but because like my day doesn't need to get loaded down with being mad about stuff I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
I've messed up too on the road.
Yeah,
I too
have
been a trashy driver.
Yeah. And anytime we get our hackles up about something someone else is doing, it's like a way that we don't forgive ourselves for like either fucking up in traffic or, you know.
And also like we never know what someone's day has been like. And it's really on my lowest, shittiest days. Like when someone in the family has died and you're just like, you're carrying something so heavy and that you finally are like, oh my God. Somebody's carrying this every day and I don't know it. So how dare I ever withhold empathy from someone? Because you just don't know what people are living through. Life is crazy and we all feel pain.
all this said of like kumbaya, everyone should be treated with care and tenderness. I also heavily believe that that energy must be used, that you can't actually, if you feel anger, it's not possible to just kumbaya yourself out of it. It's like anger must be used. And so like,
you got to go write a song or run a mile.
Yeah, like yell, like use your body.
something.
Like I have a friend that I can be like, yo, can we wrestle right now? Because I'm mad.
Oh my god.
Or like, yeah,
I want to wrestle.
yeah. Like
Krav Maga.
say the ugly shit. Like find someone that you can say all of your like judgments and like the shitty voices in the back of your head that you don't really want to let have the stage, but just like let them out for 5 minutes with your friend who's not going to judge you. And like it's actually like an exercise that I do and have assigned to people, like to go be loud and angry and let that out, because it's a belief. It's like a spiritual belief that I have that energy must go somewhere.
Or it traps in you.
Yeah. You bottle it up and then one day like it'll explode. That's one thing that I've realized now that I've stepped away from organized religion, that I don't demonize my feelings or emotions. And I don't feel the need to bury them. And I'm now learning tools to, like you said, be able to express them in ways, because I feel like so often in the church, there's some emotions that are like accepted, like joy or like
Generosity.
yes. But then the darker ones, like jealousy or anger or, rage and deep, raw hurt. Lust, like what are you supposed to do with it? We don't accept those, pray those away. But really like honoring those as a part of a human existence and learning healthy ways to express them that don't hurt people, but that allow you to release it is great. I'm glad that I know that now.
Yeah.
Because having a judgment of your feeling on top of the feeling is such an unnecessary burden.
Yeah.
As
There's this
opposed
phrase
to just like letting it come in, being like, oh, hey there. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
You may leave now.
Yeah. It's like meditating. They're like, when you have a thought, be like, that's a thought. And let
Instead
it
of like
pass.
locking it in the back room and being like,
oh, I'm
stay
thinking.
there.
I'm so stupid because I'm thinking. Now I'm thinking about how I'm stupid. No, just
I'm not supposed to think I'm stupid. I'm smart.
I'm meditating. I don't know how to meditate.
I'll meditate when I want to, and I don't want to.
What were you saying?
The monkey mind.
Yeah.
That's the monkey mind is so funny all the time. I was gonna say the phrase like use it, don't be used by it.
I like that.
Right? Like there's when you're like used by it, you go into a shame of like I shouldn't be whatever. And when you use it, it's like I'm mad. Like there are songs that I've written and exercises I've done, and even just like conversations that need to be had. Like let yourself get mad enough to be like, I can't think about anything else but this conversation that needs to be had. And then either like do it with a neutral party where you get it out of you, or like say it to the person as hopefully a dessert rather than a food fight. It's like our emotions are there to let us know that something is either working or not.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was really fun.
Yeah, this is really good. I think a lot of people are going to benefit from this conversation today.
Yeah.
I would like that. I would like for me to be a source of positive things in the world.
Yeah. I heard a quote the other day. I think it was from Rob Bell. I really like him, but he was like, my job is to grow publicly, like to grow in public.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, that resonates so deeply with me.
Yeah, that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I mean, that's...
I have heart
But
palpitations.
that's what we're here.
Because of it.
And that's how I grow, from like watching people being vulnerable and sharing their growth.
Yeah. A public revisionist.
Yeah.
It's like the person that I have been on the internet is not who I am right now.
And how cool that you get to look back and see all of this history of you.
It's like is and
and
isn't.
grow.
Is and isn't.
You are always Julia, but
Yeah.
Julia has taken many forms.
Yeah, and I have a lot of love for each person I've been. Like that's one of my iterations. I really did not have a lot of love for my previous selves. Like while I was that one, I really hated the other ones.
Yeah.
Like, how dare I be 12?
It was more like, how dare I be like fat and watching TV all the time in New York City. And now like I really value the side of me that's like, I need to relax. I need a break. I need a delicious food and an entertainment right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I love that side of me and I embrace it when it needs to come up.
You may have a better relationship with those things in your life. And because of that, now you can do them and they're part of your self-care.
Yes.
And also, it's like you weren't completely, it's not black or white, right? You're not totally like perfect now, and you weren't totally bad or whatever you didn't like about yourself
you're not
then.
perfect.
We're always
Correct. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but it's like I could really use a toenail.
Oh, you need a
Pedi-
pedicure?
pedicure.
We should do a pedicure after this.
Julia is...
Gross. Don't look. I regret calling your attention to that.
Zoom in
Can
on
we get a
those
special
toes.
on the toes? Thanks so
We're
much
going to
for...
get a surge of foot fetish views.
Oh gosh, please, yeah. Let's see what happens.
Listen, I don't judge your fetishes.
No,
We're going to
all
put
are
hashtag
welcome.
foot fetish in the posting.
All are welcome.
Julia,
Yes.
will you tell people how to find you if
Yeah.
they just
they're
don't know yet?
under a rock.
Should you choose to look into my music, I am Julia Nunes, spelled like tunes, the musical kind. So you just pop that into Google, and you can follow it up with your favorite social media site like Instagram. I'm Julia Nunes Music there. I'm on YouTube.
Soon to be on TikTok.
Soon to be on TikTok.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Well, I actually
You should.
have a
You
TikTok.
You should. Yeah,
And my
yeah.
dream is for like a whole meme to cascade down from one of my songs where people are lip syncing moodily to one of my songs.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe in that dream.
I feel like I could have that one.
It's
my
you gotta get
gosh.
on that.
We know
Make
some,
a meme for me.
We know
Meme,
some,
leme, leme, leme.
some
We gotta make a Julia
15-year-olds
Nunes
that we
song
should tell to dance.
You know
to
some
that.
children?
Dance.
Yeah, we do.
I gotta meet some kids. I'm 31. I don't know when
You
that
just gotta make
happened.
one of these kind of dances.
Oh my God. I went to a business course, and at the business, it's like a big thing. And at the business course was a 15-year-old who had just written a book. And then during the mingling time, they played Renegade, and the 15-year-old did the Renegade dance the whole time during the break. And I was just like, I know what that is, but I'm not gonna approach you because I'm 31.
What was the book about?
It was a comic book. It was like an action. I believe the main
Are you
character.
judging the ability of a 13-year-old to make a book?
I'm just, kids do everything these days.
Yeah, it's more. I sensed amazement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are so talented, and they have more approval for their talent being valuable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
Now?
a lot more confident when I was that age.
If you're
Yeah.
a kid and you're watching this, we respect you. And
Yeah.
we're fans.
Well done.
Yeah.
Keep
Hashtag
being
TikTok
passionate.
us.
Okay, and now's the part where we're like, hey guys, if you like this video,
Like and subscribe.
there's a couple things you could do.
Comment,
You can subscribe to our YouTube
rate,
channel.
and review.
And then on iTunes, if you could rate it and subscribe to it and review. That's one sentence about why you like it. Thank you. It means so much.
Did
I do it?
You did it. You
Thank you.
gotta do. I'm forcing them to do this on all future episodes as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotta remind the people what to do after they enjoyed this piece of entertainment.
Join the journey.
Yeah. And thank you for listening, all you backsliders out there. We love you. God bless.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, join the journey.
Love you guys. Bye.
No, I'm not saying that it wasn't real.